Hi friends, sharing with you a message for the end of Lent and a message that I hope helps us move into the light and the joy and the power of resurrection that comes with Easter. A message that helps us to maybe see what really has control over us. And if we let that control be the resurrection of Christ, then not even the fear of a virus and all that comes with it can hold us back from a sense of peace and joy that can only come from the risen Christ. It's a story that starts back in 2005. You might even say it's a bit of a precursor to the Me Too movement. There was a clergy couple, Mrs. Winkler and Pastor Winkler, and you can check it out and Google it for more details. But sadly, Mrs. Winkler got mad at Pastor Winkler and shot and killed him in their bedroom, which prompts me to think of the expression, what goes on in the bedroom sometimes stays in the bedroom, or what goes on behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. So I ask us to think about, is that a secular statement? What goes on behind closed doors stays behind closed doors? Or is there some spiritual truth that we can get out of that as we end a Lenten journey and move into the joy of Easter, even in these troubling times? Now, both stories sadly ended in death. Pastor Winkler was murdered with a shotgun by his wife in their bedroom. By the way, she had a very light sentence, and you can check that out on Google. And the story of Christ in Holy Week ends with his death on a cross, a crucifixion. Yet, of course, there is more to that story. But maybe the whole point of this is, who really has control over us? It was thought at the beginning of Holy Week and Palm Sunday that Jesus had control over the crowds. They were greeting him like a hero. Yet the story ended in death. It was thought by all outside circumstances that the Winklers had a great marriage. Yet the story ended in death. And maybe, again, that's what Lent is all about, is for us to see what's going on in our souls behind the closed doors that we need to bring out into the light. And I admit that in my own journey in life, I did a lot of things behind closed doors that I learned to bring out into the light, and still things that I can bring out into the light. For me personally, the biggest thing was 20 plus years of drinking. Many folks didn't know that I did that, and I primarily did it after the workday was over and the privacy of my own little den with my own TV and my own bottle of Black Velvet. But it had its consequences, severe consequences to my relationships, to my financial well-being, to my health. But eventually I learned to bring it out into the light. And for all the pain that caused me, I learned a better way. It's sometimes called the way of the 12 steps. And some actually think that for those of us that have suffered through an addiction and are what we call 12-steppers, that we can cope with this current COVID-19 crisis a little better because we've learned to bring things out into the light. It doesn't make us a better person, trust me, not at all. Not at all. But we've learned that to trust God, to clean house and help others. 6 simple words. Trust God, clean house, help others. Maybe if the Winklers had sought counseling or really clean house, to be willing to share their problems, there would not have been such a tragic ending. So that's the point here, my friends, that can we trust Christ a little bit deeper, that we don't murder him and we don't leave the story there, but we can more fully join into the joy of resurrection. Can we reach out to a trusted person, to a mental health counselor in these terrible times, or even to a pastor? If you want to talk to a pastor, give me a call, 518-572-0835. Look me up on Facebook, send me a message, send me an email. As we begin to contemplate what goes on behind closed doors and what is it in our souls that we can bring into the light that can help us get through the challenging times and understand the joy, the power of resurrections at Christ, I urge you to click on the link that'll be on the email when this goes out, or in the Facebook comments of a powerful song by the Christian singer Carmen called Lazarus Come Forth. Because the moral of the story is, the powers that be, they wanted to keep Christ down. And Lazarus was a friend of Christ that was dead, and no one thought that Lazarus could be resurrected. And we share this story just before Easter because it presents to us the power of Christ. Christ ended up getting crucified because he raised Lazarus from the dead. And the power of Christ can also raise us from the dead. Not even death could hold Christ. Not even the fear of COVID-19 can hold us. That doesn't mean that we don't take appropriate steps of personal distancing and keep our families safe and our neighbors safe by abiding by all the rules that our government and churches are helping us to understand to be safe as we love our neighbor. But it's that internal peace, that the joy we can understand that Christ gives us, that nothing can separate us from that great love, that great power of resurrection. That we inherit the ultimate victory through the power of resurrection. Let us use that to break free of any bond things. Let us not be overcome with the fear of COVID-19. Let us be sane, let us be peaceful, let us help when we can, so that the joy and the peace and the love of the risen Christ can guide us through this pandemic and help us to fully feel the power of love, the power of resurrection in our life. May it be so for you, my friends. Happy Easter. Enjoy this end of Lent, knowing that there is always resurrection and always that power with us. Amen.